Hi everybody, it's Steve here.
Hello, I'm back as well.
Along with Kenny. We're sitting in the definitely not complete tub. The exciting thing is we don't have just one tub or two tubs. We have three tubs, technically four if you count the spare MP4, that we're trying to get to one single tub that we can use for the P1 Spider project. So there's a bunch of updates. We'll take you through them here in a moment, but welcome. We've got a lot of ground to cover. We also bought a few new cars that we added to the garage, so we'll probably touch on that as well. But let's get right into it.
This is the 675 LT tub.
This is a 675 LT tub, and the first rule of all McLaren carbon fiber tubs is that bottom half, they're all the same, at least up until they introduced the 720. And we got one of those too, eBay. So this is the bottom half of the 675 LT tub. As you can tell, we went a little crazy with the scanny dot thing. As it turns out, putting little sticker dots on, super easy to do. Getting them off, not easy to do. Second thing we did is we had the old VP4 P1 rims powder coated, beautiful. And we finally got some tires mounted on them. So we can sit back and pretend they actually do something now. So we have that. But we should probably also get to take a look at the second tub that we got on eBay. Let's go take a look. So as you know, our goal with all these P1 parts is to get a P1 Spider done. Theoretically not that difficult. You need some A-pillars that extend up, and then you're basically fitting glass for the front end. The front end, not that hard. This right here is the tub of a 650 Spider that we got off of eBay. And as we've been kind of hacking and cutting, as it turns out, getting these A-pillars shaped so they'll support a P1 windshield. Ironically, like the front end, pretty much all the same. The windshield sets in there very, very nicely. There's just so much aluminum that you have to take off of the A-pillar. Kind of compromises the structural integrity, not kind of. It just does.
We're a tad worried about safety.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would say mildly, a tad is a good way to put it. This tub I love just because the condition is fantastic. We've still got the aluminum rear pillars, you know, kind of in a position where we can use those to mount the rear frame. So something's attached to the carbon fiber. It's kind of finessing this whole piece. It's just proving ridiculously challenging. So, because we can, we bought a third tub on eBay. Let's go take a look at that. So this is the third tub that we have. This is a 720, and the tub, actually the kind of front end, very similar to the 675, 570, the 650, blah, 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 all the way back to the MP4. You can kind of trace the lineage. However, if you come over here to the side, this has a much more of a scooped or scalloped chunk of the tub, so it kind of angles down versus like it's perfectly flat in the MP4. But what we covet in the 720 tub, oh how we covet it, are these little bad boys here. So these A-pillars, they're beautiful. They actually fit. Like if you hold up the P1 trim, it kind of just slides on there perfectly. The interior trim, it's a good measure. This piece right here is presumably aluminum, but it's all aluminum with a carbon fiber infill. So if you get kind of some of the crap off, and we've put the P1 windshield on, it sits perfectly. So clearly designed, not just cues, but even some specs were borrowed from the P1. I mean, if somebody has these 720 pillars not bonded to a 720 tub sitting in a barn,
hit us up.
Yeah, we'd love that. But the current plan, and we're going to use the word tease, which really means cutting and solvent. We're going to tease these pillars off of the 720 tub, because this whole piece here, man, if you can, kind of get that on that 650 tub, it's perfect.
Yeah, and the important thing to note is that we can't use the base of the 720 tub because of how scooped and aggressive
doors won't fit.
The doors won't fit. So you have to do the base of the 650, which is the Gen 1 tub. Also clear, we are not altering the powertrain in any way.
No, it's a P1.
We're gonna have
P1 hybrid drivetrain. Cannonball Garage is almost done with
exactly,
it. So
yeah.
cool.
So most of this stuff that we're talking about right now resolves around you know, focusing on the A, windshield setup, and B, kind of figuring out roll cage?
I think the W for us is get these freaking pillars done, get them on a tub, and then let's get the windshield kind of loosely fitted. It's just amazing how the P1 windshield, it's not a perfect fit, but it lines up nicely. You can kind of set it on there. Maybe we'll actually show you. Let's set it on there and then we can take a look at it together. All right, don't drop the $20,000 piece of glass.
And if anyone in the comments would like to say that, oh, you know, you guys are storing them weird or have a weird cavalier design for this, whatever, dude. This is fun.
There's currently no build your own P1 guidebook.
Yeah, exactly. There's not really like a how to build P1 guidebook. So, you know, thank you though for your concern.
All right, so check this out. So if you kind of just nuzzle this guy up. Now, obviously we have foam around the outside, but the interesting thing, and the first thing is, so the windshield actually kind of mounts like this.
It rests a bit lower.
So it rests lower, so you've got this kind of little fascia piece that sits underneath the windshield where it'll mount there. But in terms of the actual, the pillar all the way up this side where the trim would go, the windshield, it does sit, it's actually pretty well aligned. The hard part is gonna be getting the kind of, you know, the door mounted here. We'll have to engineer a mount for the P1 hinge. And then the second thing is just gonna be, you know, depending on what we do with the door. Now I know this is heresy, but if we chop the top off of the door, the max kind of height for the door is gonna be about right here. So really won't need to worry about door trim alignment because it'll just, you know, hinge close on that tub. So we kind of like these hinges. Bear in mind, we do have a backup plan.
We do.
We've always had a backup plan. The backup plan is we ordered an actual P1 tub from McLaren. So that's being manufactured right now. So it's the journey. It's the journey. It's not just the destination.
That is true. There is, so with plan B in mind, and we know that there is an actual P1 tub coming, there are two options, which is one, we just kind of sit and wait for 7 months and go like, oh, this will eventually come. Or B, we really try our hand at the Spider.
But what are we going to do in between now and then? We're going to try to make this flipping Spider work because I already have a P1. So I might as well have a P1 Spider, and then, you know, you can drive them side by side.
That's true, and now he has two, so.
Right,
great.
But
Variety is the spice of life.
We've got to believe that we can figure out how to get this pillar off of this tub onto that tub with bolts and aircraft glue, because that's pretty much how they're attached.
That is literally all how it's attached.
And I think using this framework might actually work. And yeah, we could scan the P1 pillars, we can print a mold, have a carbon fiber version replicated. That's why we've got that big giant, you know, 4 foot by 4 foot print bed over there to try that as well. So every possible measure is being taken right now. And then the last note, for those of you who say, hey, let's just throw a 650 or 675 windshield and go with that, that would be awesome. But for the fact that the front end of a P1 doesn't mate up with that windshield. Really what this is all about, the reason we're going through this absolute goat rodeo with the tub stuff, is because this part right here, the front end for the P1, is specifically engineered to mate perfectly with the P1 windshield. So if we go over to my windshield, I could show you there on the P1. This is VP4, if you haven't met her before. This is VP4, we love her. But as you can see right here, so we've got the P1 windshield, and right along here is where it mates with that front end of the front end of the P1. And yeah, there's a bit of weather stripping / vibration dampener there, but that perfect mate, there's no other McLaren windshield with this shape. The 720 effectively has the same slope, but not the same shape. It kind of comes out to a point and then a curve, so it's just not the same thing. Maybe one other quick angle that's worth taking a look at, like if we end up doing the Spider, you're really talking about a trim piece coming up here, cutting across there. So you really only have about that much roof exposed. It's sort of a Spider. So if you're saying, hey, Steve, it was raining, what would you do? Just drive really fast. So you could throw 100 other windshields at this, or you could say, hey, maybe we modify. No touchy, we don't want to do that. We want this to mate, we want it to be a real P1. That's why we've had Cannonball rebuild the engine and the hybrid drivetrain, and there was a whole thing there. But we want it to be perfect. You know, if anybody from, whether it's Lazante or Lanzante or whatever it is, if you're watching, we'd love some tips from you in
Hit
terms
us
of
up.
what you did for the. Hit us up anytime for the
Email's
P1 Spider that you did. But you know, the short version is it's really about kind of getting this piece. So that'll be cool. And then really, we'll go take a look at the back end one more time so I can tell you what we're thinking. All right. So for the rear end, so first of all, the tub's gonna kind of go right along here. Now on an actual P1, you have for the rear pillar, you have just a nice piece of carbon fiber that's glued onto the tub that kind of comes off the base of the tub and follows this kind of like half nacelle perfectly there. For a Spider, really, you'd kind of use the bench on the tub that we looked at. So there's really nothing to build out. You do want a kind of a bit of a roll cage here. It's that whole not dying thing. So if you do a roll cage that kind of follows this and kind of makes a nacelle like that, cuts across, then you can see straight back from the rear view mirror. So you've got plenty of view ability. So we're kind of thinking just two nacelles, we'll call them haunches here, but like two, you know, kind of roll cage shaped, and then we just build a simple carbon fiber box to frame it. So the back is actually going to be remarkably easy. It's the front, it's the A-pillars, the right fit, and then bear in mind the last big step, which will be the last thing we do, is if we go with the Spider, at some point, you're going to cut right here, and I like, ooh, cutting bad. Whatever the most extreme version of last is, this will be the last thing. Because look, at some point in time, the P1 tub that we've ordered could show up, and then we try that and blah, blah, blah. But I really want to keep that P1 tub. I want to make the Spider work, and I want to keep the other P1 tub as a spare for my P1, should I ever need it. So Ryan, our lead and master mechanic here at our garage, did point out, so there's some water spots that kind of get on the little window here for the rear view. Yeah. Ryan, what's the only way to clean that?
Very carefully, glass cleaner and steel wool.
Okay, but
very
can you
fine.
just fold the glass up?
You cannot.
You cannot. You have to get out the lug wrench and start unscrewing in order to wipe the rear windshield. So that is fantastic. Yeah,
very carefully maneuvered around.
Yeah, when they were building the P1, I just don't know why they look like that's awesome, right? Hinges totally work. Put one here so it goes like this.
Mm-hmm. Weight savings.
Yeah. Really though? Really though? Just one thing, and you can get in there and like, is clean.
Yeah.
It's killing me. You're killing me, McLaren. So, other car updates. So, this idiot, who's my son, who's actually not an idiot, but that's a term of endearment in the Lucas family.
Yeah, but
my
look
most
at
amazing,
this.
brilliant son wanted to deliver the mail here in the U.S. So he ended up getting a right-hand drive 27-year-old Japanese car. It's a what?
It's an R33 GTR.
Oh my gosh. This is what happens when your child grows up watching the Fast and Furious. So he got a right-hand drive car, and we had Rev Hard Motors fix it up and all that. And then apparently it needed to look like this, right? So now he can deliver the mail very, very quickly, driving on the right-hand side of the road in a country that is not engineered for
No, it is brutal, admittedly, but everything else about this car is just freaking brilliant.
Sorry, not right-hand side of the road, right-hand side of the
Right-hand
car.
side.
I know we drive on the right-hand side of the road. So there is that. So this is a GTR, and what did we add? We added cooling to it?
Yes, yeah. Okay, so we kind of did same classic style as Fast and Furious, except all of the mod lists that we put on the car are actually what we did to it. Tomei exhaust, HKS turbos, pretty much everything Nismo from the factory. That was kind of the goal with this car, is like an enhanced version of the original car. So it's about 420 horsepower now. Did a Gretty oil cooler. It's great.
I have a Gen Z comment I'm about to make, which is it really necessary to stick every brand sticker on your car?
Yeah, but look at it. It makes it faster.
Can't you just have the car?
But yeah.
Okay.
But this adds to the theater, right? Because then I don't even have to say. You just look at it and you're like, nice.
We added a Maserati Gran Turismo. Yes, it's the new model. It's like the 2024. It's a V6. The interesting thing about this is it's all-wheel drive. So look, I get it. There's not a lot of oomph, but If you're gonna go somewhere, you might as well go in style. And so this one has this little pearlescent blue finish over yellow. So out in the sun, when it hits it, it kind of like sparks up blue. It's actually really nice. I'm not gonna contend this car is gonna win any street races. It's not, but it's Italian. If there was ever a car I regretted giving up,
That is true, yeah.
it was the Ferrari F8 Tributo. Ferrari knows how to frame an engine. I mean, come on. It's art first and a car second. It is stunning to look at. Now, one thing I will say, Ferrari, like, seriously, plastic.
Yeah,
but
this is not
minus that, so this is the Ferrari F8 Tributo. It's a new addition to the garage. Of course, black because reasons. But this car, I'm telling you, if there was a Ferrari that woke up in a bad mood, this would be the car. I actually think this thing, it can, I mean, I know I'm gonna get comments for this. This thing hangs with the 765. It really does. It does. The traction control's a little squirrely in these things. I think the McLaren stays more planted. But come on.
Speaking of cool engine base, this one's not too bad either. Also a Ferrari though, so that does help.
Again, art first.
Yes, but naturally aspirated, flat plane crank V8, Ferrari 360 Modena with 6,000 miles on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got this with BBS wheels and whole 9 yards, so.
Needs a little paint correction.
Yeah, we'll get to that part, but you know, I have a bad habit of just buying really old shit, but it's awesome, so that's all that matters. I love these old things, and
Look,
this one we're gonna do a lot of work
For
to.
$100 grand,
This is awesome!
this is, I mean, that, first of all, I know that's not cheap, but in the world of supercars, the Ferrari Modena is still legendary, and I get it. It's like, yeah, well, they put the timing chain instead of the belt and the 430, blah, blah, blah. I mean, bang for your buck, this car is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's a stunner. Still, 25 years later.
And surface is not as bad as you think, actually. In fact, most of the car is right here, which is shockingly accessible.
Come on.
So I want to do a lot of work to this one, do some titanium exhaust, maybe some carbon fiber to look kind of like his.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I will say the thing that Ferrari got right, I mean, if you look at the most interesting thing about a Ferrari engine is the absence of hoses and tubes. Yes, you can see a few, but they've moved most of them kind of underneath this. But this presentation layer that Ferrari has mastered, they're still the best in the business. Okay, so our goal, obviously, is to get a rolling chassis ready by the end of May for the big slush meet down at Pikes Peak.
Slush Motorsport Festival.
That thing.
That thing.
But between now and then, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna get VP4 buttoned up again, and we'll do another video soon, hopefully with a rolling chassis.